Hello BookTube, hello Tudorverse. Welcome back to Tudortember, that wonderful annual event started by Bookish Travels and Lil's Vintage World 5 years ago. Today is September 8th, and that is a big day in the Tudorverse. It is not as big a day as yesterday, which was the anniversary of Elizabeth's birth, but it's a big one. Today is the anniversary of Amy Robsart Dudley's death, and it's one of the 3 big mysteries of the Tudorverse. The other 2 being who killed the princes in the tower. I don't really consider that much of a mystery, but some people do, and they will fight over it, so I put that up there. And the other one being whether or not Catherine of Aragon actually slept with Arthur Tudor, Henry's brother. I can go both ways on this question. I know that I want her to have, if only because it's a better story that way. It makes sense of her life and her daughter's life, whereas if she hadn't slept with Arthur Tudor, then her life and Mary's life are just tragedy full stop, and that is I'm not as happy with that. So, but anyway, back to Amy, which is, because this is her day. Jill McCracken at TudorCon last year. Yes, there's a TudorCon, there's a Comic-Con, there's a TudorCon. Anyway, at TudorCon last year, gave a wonderful talk on setting out all of the true crime aspects of the mystery. Amy was found at the bottom of a staircase. So earlier in the day, she had insisted that her entire household leave and go to the fair, to leave her alone in the house. Essentially, when they came back, she was found at the bottom of the staircase with only 8 steps. And so the question arose, how did this happen? The immediately suspicion attached to Robert Dudley, and therefore to Elizabeth, who had been kind of cavorting around. When Elizabeth came to the throne barely the year before, Robert Dudley became her favorite right away, and they were together all the time. They were dancing. Everybody figured, oh, she's going to marry him when Amy dies, because at the same time as they were cavorting around, the rumor arose that Amy had a lump in her breast and was indeed expected to die soon. So it was a terrible existence that she was going through, and there was a big inquest that was made, and that was a lot of what her servants said, that she spent a lot of time in prayer asking God to release her. And then they backed off, saying, no, don't think the worst. It wasn't suicide, because if it had been suicide, she wouldn't have been able to be buried in hallowed ground and all of that. Robert Dudley was obviously the suspect. He's always been the suspect. He didn't have the motive. From his point of view, Amy was going to die anyway. And if he killed her, why kill her, in other words? Because her death in this way meant that he could never marry Elizabeth. The scandal was just, it never went away. The person who did have motive was William Cecil, actually. My boy Cecil, I don't really believe that he did it, but if you're looking around for the motive, he would have wanted to make sure that Elizabeth could never marry Robert Dudley, and that would have done it. That did do it. I don't know. You can, for the mystery's sake, you can go and you can watch the video from TudorCon last year. It is up on the internet. You can also, I'm bringing it around to the books, you can also, there's Chris Skidmore's Death and the Virgin Queen. I have not read this one, but I really enjoyed Skidmore's book on Edward VI, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I think he's probably going to be really good at it. Christine Hartweg, Amy Robsart, A Life in Its End. I also haven't read this one, and I should have, but it was very well received in the Tudorverse. I'm kind of focused on what I read. I read a lot of Tudor stuff, and I'm trying to be really careful about what I'm reading while I'm writing. So that, you know, they're on my list. Or if you want to just have a fun time, you can go back to Jean Plaidy. She wrote A Favorite of the Queen. That's one of the old, you know, Jean Plaidy is always delivers a fun read. So those are your choices to delve a little bit more into it. And I know I'm a little bit all over the place here. I did do a blog post that came live today, so if you want to know more about it, you can just, you know, read it in a much more carefully arranged format than me just blabbering about it. So thank you for watching, and see you on Thursday.